Hi everyone, Karen here. Now a question I've been asked is, how do you start your tarot journey? Now, one, you need a tarot deck. Now, the one that I learned from, and I find it very good for teaching with and learning from, is the Rider-Waite deck. It is very simple. It's got simple symbology in there because you look at the symbols on the cards. So you've got the pentacles, cups, wands, and swords. Same on the different cards. The twos, two of swords, two of pentacles. Two of cups. Pentacles was next. Two of pentacles, and the two of wands. And also it goes on and on. You know, the three of cups, three of wands, three of pentacles, and three of swords, which everyone looks and goes, "Ooh," but it's not a bad card. I don't find any cards in the deck to be bad cards, to be honest. So yes, and you've got your major arcana. I've separated them both because I like sort of working with. I do like working with the minor arcana. I don't mind the majors. The majors have different meanings for each one of them. But if I'm going to show you any cards on here, I'm going to use my video version of the Rider-Waite, which the naked people have got clothes on, as to not disrupt YouTube. So one is to get your deck. Now there's many decks out there. Other decks that I have, I've got a lot of ornamental decks in my in my bookcase, like my books that I haven't really read. You get different decks with different pictures on it. The artwork on some of them is absolutely stunning. Four of Wands, you know, which depicts the garden. This is a tarot of mystical moments, and it depicts the feminine energy and the classic garden. There's a lot of men gardeners and there's a lot of women gardeners. I think it's because the women are, you know, as women, we're very fertile and we have fertile imaginations, and you know, we're producers of creation. Not to say that men don't have fertile imaginations, but this deck is aligned with women and creation. So you would pick a deck. I've got another deck here, which is to do with the ocean. It's got ocean theme on it. So we've got the five of wands and mermaids. You've got the two of treasures here, depicting a mermaid, and two treasures, which I think it's to do with the pentacles. We've got the page of pearls, as you can see, the male merman with a pearl, page of pearls. Now each one would give a different energy to the card. Two of pearls, five of spears, six of spears. When you revert them back to any of these suits, like the pentacles, cups, wands, or swords, they would basically mean the same thing, but because they're in the ocean, it would have a different energy coming off it. One of my favourites is called The Muse by Chris Ann, and even that has very different, you know, pictures. There's the Wheel of Fortune. Then we have the Eight of Inspiration relating to the Eight of Wands. Wands relate to inspiration. Nine of Emotions, which relates to Nine of Cups. Ten of Materials, which relates to Ten of Pentacles, featuring abundance. So they all mean the basic, still the basic aspects of what the Rider-Waite cards do, but they're just shown in a different form. Now you also need to find a teacher, someone to teach you the basics. A lot of people read intuitively. There's nothing wrong with that. But to get a good foundation into reading the tarot cards, it's always good to go back to the beginning. Because if you start intuitively and you read intuitively, then there's got to be some period of your reading career that you may possibly go back to the basics and read exactly what the symbols mean. I mean, you don't have to. You may not. You know, I'm just talking about some people might. I learned them again originally learned them in my 20s, the basics. Then I went back to learn them again about 5-6 years ago, and that's when they spoke to me totally different. So you get a whole different vibe if you were to, you know, go back and learn the basics of the cards. They speak to you totally different because you've seen the different layers that can come out from a reading or just from one card. I mean, coming from this card here, the Six of Swords, there's many different ways you can read that. You can read that as, you know, the boatman, and he's got a wand in his hand, which is another suit in the deck as well. There's a boatman taking two people across the water. You know, swords are sort of like, not so much impending doom, but they're, you know, worries. They belong to the symbol of air. Swords relate to thoughts. So it could be a lot of thoughts. See how they're sort of hunched over and she's sort of got the young child sort of nestled in, or the young child is nestled into her to feel safe. So there's a little bit going on in this card. The water here is a little bit rough, where the water over here is smooth. They're going over to smoother waters, so things were a little bit tough for them on this side of the lake. You can say there's one person in the boat, his arms stretched up like that, which looks exactly the same as the magician. So he understands, you know, he wants, you know, the heaven and earth. He understands the comparison between heaven and earth. He wants to bring heaven down to earth, so the energy of heaven down to earth, so it can, you know, become more clearer, become more peaceful and settled. And it could be, you may not see the two people in the boat when you do a read. You may just see this boatman here, and these here are his feminine side and his inner child. So he's come from a state of, you know, a time of rough times, and he's going on a journey because he's got, you know, his thoughts are sort of coming down, impending doom and worries and stressing, and so he's going with his inner child and his feminine side to sort of balance everything up. Because you look at the swords along the boat, you know, do they look equal? Do they look level with each other? Which they're not, you know, there's some higher than others. So there's many ways you can read a card. As said, it looks pretty simple, easy to read, symbols are there. But as you read, as your reading progresses and elevates, and you bring your experiences in as well, which your intuition is made up of everything in your energy field here, you will start to bring them in. Symbols that relate to, like the palm frond here on the Ace of Swords. Usually that means, you know, someone winning a race. You know, you usually get the palm frond here and you've won. That could mean something totally different to you in 6 months, 12 months after you start reading tarot. So it's always good to get a foundation and learn what the basic symbols mean. coming to the Magician, you can see all the symbols in here. You've got the lemon skate up here, you know, the figure 8, where infinity just keeps going and going, and the figure 8 symbol. You've got the snake biting his tail around his waist. You know, he's wearing it as a belt. Again, that shows you a cycle. His arms are pointing up to the heavens and down to the earth. So he's bringing heaven to earth. You know, the universal laws, he's bringing him down into his world. He's got everything on his table, the cups, the wand, the sword, the pentacle. He's got everything he needs. He's an alchemizer. He's a magician. You've got the white lilies, which mean purity. You've got the red rose, meaning passion, and he's wearing the same. He's wearing a red robe, passion. He's got a white tunic, purity. So he's very pure and he's very passionate about his craft. So you can see how the symbols make up a bit of a story as well. You might see a flower in, you know, you might see a lily here. I know there was one card. What was, I think it was the, you know, you might see a lily, you might see a lily in here, and it looks like a dog. I mean, if you look here, it looks kind of, to me, as I'm looking at the card in the camera, it looks like a cat. So there could be, you know, feline qualities in there. You might bring the cat in too, because the magician's conjured up a cat. And cats are related. They walk in two worlds. They've been, you know, known from the Egyptian times to walk in two worlds. They've got a spirit, they've got a soul, they can see the other side. They see things that we can't. So the cat is coming in here as well. There was one card, I'm sure, I think it was the star. Yeah. Oh, okay, so I didn't put clothes on you. Maybe you're in here somewhere. Hang on. Let me try to... Where are you in here? Maybe I've swapped you over because the backs look the same. And I've got to put you... Get the star with clothes on. Yeah, looks like I have. I'll swap these decks over. There's some writing in that one. Where are you? Come on. Yes, that's better. Put you in this one. And put you in this one. Okay. Yep. Okay, so we have the star here. Need clothes on these people. You can see the little weed down here. There was one time I did a reading for somebody and I said that you're going to get a bicycle. Something about a bicycle. You're going on a bicycle ride. And the day before, they just bought a bicycle. So you can see how a weed can look like something different. And that's what's going to sort of come out in a reading. Again, that's going to sort of take time. Now, which deck is which now? Gosh. Okay, I'll just put you down here. Put you there. And put you there because you belong in that one. Okay, let's... hopefully I've got the right one now. So you can see how things will jump out at you and you'll read them a different way, maybe a different way, or a symbol will jump out, and that's how you're going to, it'll just want to be included in the reading. So that's the different layers of the cards and how you will evolve from basic reading from the basics into intuitively reading. Again, you may start with intuitive reading and that's fine. Wherever you start is the right place for you to start. So don't feel that, oh gee, I haven't learnt the basics. Maybe I'm not, you know, as good a reader as what I thought. It doesn't matter. If you started intuitively, then that's fine. That's how you read. I'm sort of talking to, you know, beginners who sort of feel that they need somewhere to start. Always start with a good tarot teacher. If you're in Australia, the Tarot Guild of Australia, I've got up here, they have certified teachers. That's in Australia if you want to learn from any of those. And you have other tarot organisations in different parts of the world as well, where you could find a certified teacher, someone who has learnt from the basics and gone up to intuitive reading. Or you can even find a intuitive reader and learn from them. So as I said, it doesn't matter where you start. If you feel comfortable starting where you're starting, then that's fine. Okay, so the best place to start, as I did before, was just pick a card, start small. Pick a card and work from there. See what symbols are coming out for you. See how you can read the card and what jumps out at you. So again, we have the Empress with quite a lot. She's very bountiful. You can see the sign of Venus on her, whether it's a cushion or the side of her couch she's reclining on. She's got roses on her dress. She's got a diadem full of stars in her crown. She's got the water coming through trees, so she's very abundant. She's an abundant woman, the Empress. She's the Mother Earth. All the wheat here, it's nearly time for harvest. And in some cards, she looks pregnant. So you take that into account as well. She's the mother of creation. So she's sitting there, saying, look at me, I can, bring in, grab my energy. This is my abundance. This is how I feel. And you can work with the cards through that way. All the majors, they're key elements in the external world around us, going from justice, and people have picked up in readings that, you're, in court proceedings at the moment, justice card is here. Change your perspective, see how the Hanged Man's upside down. Again, you can sort of go back into other aspects of spirituality, mythology. Odin, the Norse god, hung upside down on a tree until he found an enlightenment. He lost an eye through his sacrifice, was to lose an eye through the process. But there's the enlightenment here with the Hanged Man. And we have our favourite famous devil card here. You can see he's sort of hanging on to, which he's got to do with addictions. But I reckon he gets a bit of a bad rap. A lot of people fear the devil. But it's not something that you run into and say, hey, let's be friends. But once you sort of, working with the deck, you can see that he's kind of like a cat with a mouse. We're the mice, and he's kind of like the cat. They're saying, I've got you. Now I'm going to play with you, and I'm going to keep you in addiction. I'm going to keep you tied down until you can bring your intuition up and bring your wiles up, your wily knowledge up to get out of the trap that I've put you in. So he's very tricky that way. The star, which I brought up before, is a star of healing. That's the naked one, but we'll flash it up quick. Hopefully it doesn't get flagged. We've got the Hierophant, which relates to the authority, the outer version of authority, like priest, a teacher. Yeah, this is the one with no clothes. Okay, we'll just try to use the one with clothes. So you've got different aspects there. So the major relates to the external energies that are around us, and the minor relates to our everyday experiences. Okay, so that's the best way to start. Grab one card and start looking at the symbols and reading from that. if you want to sort of, you know, jump on YouTube or do little shorts on TikTok or something like that. Another thing with tarot, getting to learn tarot, is it's basically having a relationship with the cards. I think it's getting a bit dark. I'm going to turn the light on. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, that's a little bit better. Well, I hope so anyway. Yeah, it's a little bit better. You start having a relationship with your deck. Doesn't mean that you take it to the movies or take it out to dinner or anything like that, but you can keep it in your purse if you do. But it's relating to you, relating to your life. So if you were to do a reading for yourself, give it a little bit of a shuffle and see what comes up. Okay, let's lay the first 3 cards out and there. Okay, so they're major arcana. So this is another card that has no close. It's not. Oh gosh. Change this over. The world. How did they get mixed up? Don't know. Now they're really mixed up now. Yep, certainly are mixed up. Okay, we won't use that one because it's got no clothes on it. I don't know why. Usually very keep it fairly simple. Unless I've got 2 worlds in there. Oh my gosh. Now I've got 2. Okay. You've got clothes, you don't have clothes. You don't have clothes either. Right, I'm going to pick 2 different cards because this is doing my head in now. Stuffed it up. So, okay. Let's go back. Let's just pick these 3 cards. Have you got clothes? No. Oh my gosh. Oh well, do my head in. So if I was to do a reading for me, and the first card I picked, of course, is the 2 of Cups. Now the 2 of Cups relates to partnerships. And you can see the line up here, the line of healing up there, and the caduceus here, which relates to healing. So it could be a partnership in healing. It doesn't necessarily mean a romantic partnership. At the basics, the cups relate to emotions. And so you can see these 2 people coming together. They have emotions for each other. I mean, you can have, you know, great respect in a friendship. You can have love in a friendship where it doesn't have to go into a relationship. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a relationship card. But if in a reading there's other cards around it and people are coming in definitely for a love reading, then that will relate to love. I see the vessels as us. So if I was to read it my way in looking at the cups, that would relate to me by saying you're, you know, mirroring someone. You're looking at someone and they're mirroring back to you their qualities that you have in you that you can't see. And you're doing the same for them. So you're basically mirroring someone else. It's a mirror. It's still a partnership. It's still a relationship. It could be, you know, a spiritual relationship where you mirror back to each other and you get cues from the other person as to what you need to change in you, and also you're giving them cues as well as what to sort of change in them. So it could be a relationship in that way. Picking up another card is the 7 of Wands. Now, wands are inspiration. But unfortunately, let's get the words out, Karen. Okay, so unfortunately, he's not feeling that inspired. It's almost like he's got to fight his own demons to sort of, you know, feel rebalanced, back in balance with himself. See how he's legs are apart and there's a stream. There is sort of a stream, it's not going in between, but he's got different shoes on. He's not standing up straight. He's sort of feeling a little bit at a loss. He's trying, you can't see any people down here, so these could be, you know, imaginary slights that are coming at him, or it could be imaginary issues, because the wands are inspiration, and the inspiring ideas that are coming to him, he might not be ready for them yet. So he's feeling at a loss. He's feeling a bit odd about this situation. So I would see that after he's visited this person, she showed him, or he showed, doesn't need to be a gender in the cards either. Either of them showed something of each other. Let's stick with the guy in this one. She showed him something that he wasn't very happy with. So he's gone away. The next part of his life, he comes up against things that are there to sort of test him. I've got a little fly. So he's trying to sort of push him down. So to gain the growth, he has to overcome these 6 wands here. These 6 versions of the one idea he has. But he's holding tight. He's holding strong, even though he's feeling odd. And if we relate back to the 2 of Cups, where now he's mirroring something for her, she goes back and she's got the 8 of Swords. She's surrounded by the 8 of Swords. So this is her challenge. So after meeting each other, they both had a challenge. He had a challenge with his ideals, and she's got a challenge with her mind. Sort of see how she feels, you know, she's trapped, she's bound up. Wands relate to the mind. So she's feeling trapped and she's got to find a way to get out. She's using her intuition, her foot's in that water, and she's trying to use her intuition to escape. So see how from just one card and having a relationship with the cards and trying to understand what they're talking to you about. This is how they started talking to me differently. They relate to me now. The cards relate to us and the challenges that we face. The cards relate to me in a way that will help us understand what we go through on a day-to-day basis and how we can get out of it. How can we get out of this situation here when we know we're in this situation of where our ideals are here? They want the growth, but we're not feeling right about it. Or we're feeling trapped by the different, you know, bits of worry that are coming into our mind. We use our intuition to get out. So that's how they started learning, that's how they started talking to me, and that's how they want me to express them. So it was basically going from learning that that's a relationship card, and it's a card of healing, it's a card of partnership, now into going into, this is a card of, you know, spiritual growth. This is a card where people look at each other and they trigger something within each other. And through those triggers, they leave, go their separate ways, and then they go into their challenges. And they try to work it out within themselves, creating a stronger version of themselves. Now that transpires from the, let's see if I can get there, from the major arcana. Again, because eventually you'll see everything starting to link in together. How they've done these cards is absolutely magnificent. Each card links into different parts of different cards. You know, the majors and the minors. You can see how they all link into each other. they've got closed. I've just got to get the closed ones out so that I can use them. Okay. Now here's another major arcana, which comes down to here, very similar. See how there's an angel at the top? This can be related to Adam and Eve, where they take a bite from the apple tree and then they need to leave because they've been thrown out of Garden of Eden, down to our everyday experiences. They're now in the world, and they basically have to do the same thing again. They come together, they trigger each other. The angel up there is watching. Now the angel, that's Archangel Raphael. The angel here is a lion. Now the lion head, it's not coming to my mind straight away. But they've come into the world. They're going to trigger each other again, and they're going to go their separate ways and work through their challenges. So you can see how tarot can evolve from learning the simple basic steps of tarot, creating spreads, and then when you grow in relation to the tarot, it can speak of many different things. So I've written notes down because I was sort of getting messages into what to say. So I've written notes down. Said now making it personal. So, and that's how your relationship with tarot will expand. Now trust the process. That's one big thing, because we all have the ability to read from the energetic spheres. We all have the ability to pick up the energetics, the information that comes through. Trust the process. If you give a reading to someone and you have it seems like gobbledygook, and it's like, I've no idea, you may relate to this, but this is what I'm getting. I'm getting, you're standing there with a lot of, sticks around you, and you're feeling a little bit, it's feeling confronting. May mean nothing to you, and then they can relate to it. It may be something in their work life, or they may have been picketing and protesting, and, this is what happened to them. So it's very personal for the person on the other side of the reading. They will pick up the messages as it comes through to them. So whatever you have to say, when I picked up, a bicycle, I'm thinking it's a weed. A bicycle, bang, she got it. Yeah, I bought a bicycle yesterday. Looks nothing like a bicycle, but that's what I was getting. A lot of things will come through. Trust and just say it. And if they say no, just say, well, if it doesn't resonate now, it may resonate later. They might walk out, and then half an hour later, whatever you said will come back to them, and they'll go, oh yes, I do understand that now. It did happen to me like this. So don't feel that whatever you're saying, they're going, no, because you're going to get the people that are just going to sit there. Sometimes they'll just sit there and say, well, you're the tarot reader, and they don't give you anything. So just read the deck. Don't try not to take on their energy, because if you take on their closed energy, that's when the reading will be closed. Try to create that distance, put up an imaginary field in front of them, so their energy, if they are closed off, try to push their energy back. Visualize your hands, because if they are closed, visualize your hands pushing their energy over to the other side of the table. Just put a line up, visualize a line in the middle of the table, push their energy to their side and keep it there. And ask your guides, just say, keep their energy there. And you can happily be reading away while they're sitting there like this, And then all of a sudden something will trigger and they'll say, oh yes, that's true. And they start to open up. You'll feel it when they start to open up and you'll go, oh yeah. But don't be too sucked in with that. Don't open yourself fully. Just keep that energy there. Keep their energy. Allow them to open up on their own. And you just keep reading. By the end of the reading, bang, they're put down there. The shutters are down, they're wide open, and they're enjoying every bit of the reading than when they came in skeptical and thought, oh yeah, well, you're the tarot reader, you tell me everything. Now they're open, they're blabbing. They just can't stop. Their mouth keeps going. So you're going to find different situations when you do start to do tarot reads. But for now, grab a tarot deck, feel into it, because your energy, whatever you feel. So if you pick up another tarot deck, sit with it, look at the different cards, and see what it brings up for you. Just sit with it. You can meditate with it. You can go through the different, cards. I mean, 8 of Voices. It's a typical one. When you start off with the Rider-Waite Tarot, and then you change tarot decks, that's the 8 of Voices, which relates back to the 8 of Swords. It becomes so much easier when you start with a simple deck. Then you can look at the 8 of Voices and understand, oh, okay, your memory will come back and say, okay, I understand now. You're in a situation where you feel bound up, tied up. You can't really see where you're going or, what's happening. But you're using your intuition. See how her eyes are closed? She's got blindfold on, same there. And that'll get you, and that will help get you through. So that's why it's always good to start with an easy deck. And the easiest deck to start with is the Rider-Waite Tarot. So I hope that's helped. I hope that's been insightful for you. And I will be back for more tarot tips at a later date. So for now, take care. Thank you for listening. And if you like to comment, leave something in the comments, subscribe. I'll have more. Let me know if there's any questions that you have about reading tarot, and I'll do another video about it. So until then, take care. See you later.